Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I'm your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
My boy Toji is back.
He is, and I was very surprised by that. I did not expect him. He was killed, like, really hard in the beginning of this season.
I like how they do it, though, and I like the name of this episode, Seance. It feels like a low priority episode. Not necessarily set up, it's not like a big deal. You still get a lot of good stuff in it, but it's low priority, if that makes sense.
That is an excellent way of describing it. I like that. I'm going to steal that. But even if it is low priority, the animation in this show still goes bonkers. It's so good. There are so many little things that I see. Why did you do so much stuff here? Like, there is rarely a moment where it's just like lip flapping is like the general term when people talk about like lower quality or like faster turnaround animation where it's just still image and the only thing moving are the mouths. Here it's like you get maybe a fraction of that, but for the most part characters are moving around, camera angles are changing, everything is doing something, and it looks really great consistently the entire way through. There's a part in the final bit of the fight at the end of this episode involving Yuji Fushiguro and the Japanese Colonel Sanders that just, there's a single shot where the camera starts like panning around like a 360 form, but it's for like half of a second. And then they cut away to another camera angle and you don't come back to that. But that one shot looked so good. Not to mention almost every other shot in this episode. I feel like people might get tired of us just constantly saying, hey, animation looked good in this show. But it really does, and I just want to keep bringing it up because of how much I love the effort and care that has been put into this.
Completely agree. I love how this looks. This episode and the last episode are the two episodes that have looked the most the same, in my opinion, and I love the way they look. I mean, even when you're watching season 1 Jujutsu Kaisen, I love that style. I love the way it looked. It was very distinct. Now at season 2, it's being a little bit more refined, and definitely it stands out from other shows. I love watching this thing. Even the flow into like the opening song, like I just really enjoy watching this show. And the whole of season 2 with Hidden Inventory and now the Shibuya incident, the flow has been great with the visuals, with the intro, everything like that. So yeah, visuals on point. And we had fights this episode that looked awesome. Nothing too crazy, no crazy like power reveals. But getting into the story, it looks like we're fighting some side characters here. We got Yuji and Fushiguro and Beanie Boy, and they're like, okay, we can't break the veil. They do a little bit more, thinking, and they're like, okay, so this guy who did the veil has to be outside of it to make it stronger. And when it's in a very, apparent place, that makes it even more strong. And I can just see the building right behind them. I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing.
The entire time, the shot was, everyone was out of focus but the building, and I was sitting through it, and I was thinking to myself, what? Is this a mistake? Are they, because you're supposed to be focusing on Fushiguro right now, because he's the one, and then Yuji, and I was sitting there thinking they were being fools. But in actuality, they knew exactly what they were doing. I still think it was a little distracting because it's a long shot. It holds on it for like 10 seconds. Hindsight, it's like, oh, okay, you clearly wanted to draw our attention to the building. I think it would have been better if you had normal focus, like buildings out of focus, and then as they're coming to the realization, they're like, what stands? As they're saying that, then it like focus shifts, and you're like, ah, the building. But it is cool still.
Yeah, really liked it, and then pick up on it. They're like, okay, let's go fuck these guys up. And they have yo-yo strings. I've never seen this used before in the show, but I gotta say, pretty fucking cool, especially seeing Yuji fling these guys around.
Yeah, a bit of a retcon, I think. I don't remember them from season 1 or Jujutsu Kaisen 0. I know we get like the 1 second flashback with Mai being like, hey, these things are useful to like establish them. But I don't know, it seems like they were just kind of made up so that the mangaka could be like, all right, time to do Spider-Man bullshit. But I appreciate it.
It looks sick.
again, we're just going to be gushing about the animation probably a whole lot this episode, but when Yuji is running across and you just see, like, the camera pans around him and, like, you see his arm, like, take up the entire frame, and then it goes away again because that's how a run works. The arm goes up and then it goes down, and then you see, like, the wire actually just spinning through the air and, like, doing all the little loops and curves and shit, and then it wraps around, like, the grandma, the grandson, and the Colonel Sanders. Man, glorious. I love it. Also utilizing Fushiguro's Shinigami, or is it Shinigami or is it Shimagaki or something or other?
I thought it was like Shikakami or something like that.
I think it is.
It's definitely. It's not Shinigami. That's Bleach and Death Note.
Yes, right. Whatever they are, I love using them creatively. Great. He uses them a little bit more creatively later on in the episode against Japanese Colonel Sanders, but awesome. We get the 2 fights. We get Beanie Boy versus the grandmother and the grandson, and eventually Toji. And then we get Yuji and Fushiguro fighting Japanese Colonel Sanders, man. Both of them look great. There's a clear one that I'm more invested in just because, I mean, come on, you got Yuji, you got Fushiguro, and Japanese Colonel Sanders? Like, how am I not going to be more excited for a fight with our boys against a chicken man? But Beanie Boy does get a chance to shine, and also we get some more backstory against the people that he's fighting that I found very intriguing as well.
Yeah, I love seeing Yuji and Fushiguro in action and being good friends, like complimenting each other, actually like enjoying spending time with each other and working as a team. Because early on, Fushiguro didn't really like him that much. So it's nice to see them actually, be friends and, they figure out, Colonel Sanders. I forget his name too, but it is a good way to describe him.
That's literally what he is.
His ability is like inversion, I think the term is what they use. And so like the harder you hit him, the weaker it feels. And the weaker you hit him, the harder it is, but you can't just like flick him. There's a bound, there's a lower and upper bound. And when they figure that out and the teamwork, I think I just love seeing Yuji work as a team. It looks awesome.
It does. It looks great. I love the little tidbits that you get from Fushiguro, how he throws out the line being like, hey, Gojo's still around, get fucked. And Colonel Sanders is just like, ha, no he's not. The ploy is never to try and like scare him with that. It was to gather information to try and see what his technique is. Great. I love that kind of thinking because, of course, Colonel Sanders responds with, you dumbasses shouted out that he was sealed already. We know he's sealed. He wouldn't be here otherwise. I love the tidbit that he makes when he's fighting with Yuji, and he's saying it's harder to keep up with Yuji's tempo than it is to keep up with the guy they're trying to kill. That is great. There are a couple of times that people very clearly state Yuji is a freak for how insanely strong he is, but I love the more subtle aspects, like what Fushiguro said there, like the fact that he punches a barrier and Beanie Boy is just like, oh, well, yeah, that was one hell of a punch. And then in his brain, he's like, holy shit! What the hell? What is this guy? Like, he's freaking out because he's like, this boy has the power of like a bomb in his fists.
Showing, not telling. Did a great job in this episode. All of the Yuji, Fushiguro, and Colonel Sanders interactions, great. Doesn't look like it's over. Looks like they really got like the upper hand on him, but I don't think it's done. I'm not 100% sure with it.
No, I think he's down for the count, man. He is face first in that barrier. Not like the Jujutsu, like a regular street barrier. Much less cool, I know. I'm sorry. I think they just have to get the nails from him, because the entire point of them fighting these guys, it's not to kill them. They don't give a shit about killing them. They just want the barrier nails.
I also did appreciate in this episode, how you mentioned, you get a little bit of background on the villains, and it's like a minute or two, but it's just enough to kind of show who they are and what their characters are about, as well as a little bit development for Gojo. That was probably one of my favorite parts of this whole episode.
Yeah, I completely concur. To do a quick comparison here, you have Demon Slayer on one hand, who will do a cool fight in the first half of the episode, and then they'll halt all progress on the entire episode to go back and show you the demons and what they were like before, and you will spend 10 to 15 minutes just fucking around in the past for a character that you really don't give a shit about. Here, I'm not saying you give a shit about the villain characters any more than you do in Demon Slayer. However, they have the good grace knowledge to be like, okay, we don't care enough about these people to actually just sit in the past with them for a while. So we're only going to spend like 2 or 3 minutes in the past, and also it's going to end up revolving around someone that you really care about, that being Gojo, and it's going to be great because you're going to see, even from the time when he was like a 10-year-old, Gojo's mere presence is still so powerful that it terrifies these serial killing curse users. It's great. It's wonderful. Again, no words spoken. There are some words spoken. There's like a bit of narration and shit going on. But for the most part, the actual reaction, no words spoken. You just see the cup of coffee start shaking. You see the guy on the roof freaking out. And then the next shots of them, the woman is like back a couple seats. She's like, I can't be near this window. He can't see me. The other guy falling down into the ground. He's like slumped down against the grate. He's like, no, don't look at me. Go away. Demon child, demon child, demon child.
I loved Baby Gojo. Cutest shot ever.
We got his birthday too. He was December 7th, I forget it already.
89.
There it is.
Oh
Good
my
year.
goodness, like Taylor Swift.
Wait, are you serious?
89 was Taylor. I don't know if she wasn't born in December.
Oh, I thought you meant like the
Look it up, Joe. Fact.
hang on,
check
I got the brick of plastic in front of me with the infinite knowledge. Holy shit, it's not exact. But she was born December 13th, 1989.
Yo, that's a wild. That's a week. That's a wild week.
I don't know. This is a stupid, but now you know. Gojo and Taylor Swift, they're only 6 days. Gojo is 6 days older than Taylor Swift.
But one thing that was probably the most surprising in this episode was the return of Toji.
Yes.
Because we get to see Beanie Boy in action. And I gotta say, we get a flashback for him too, a little bit of development, and it's good. It's like a minute of him and Nanami talking, or not. Is it Nanami?
Yes, it is
Is
Nanami.
Nanami the name?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm like, the tree person, isn't that person's name Nanami?
The
Hanami. That's Hanami. Fuck!
Oh, yeah, it's Jujutsu Kaisen!
He's talking about Nanami. He's like, look. He's like, you can be a first grade. Just go and do it. He goes, no. I want your blessing. And it's cool to kind of like give that little bit of background into it. I think it's because he's probably going to die and then Nanami's going to be all angry and go Super Saiyan.
Oh.
But his powers, pretty cool. Get a little bit of an explanation for it. I love how he does the little like swooshing on the water and he's sliding everywhere and he pulls down the mask. Very
He's like
cool.
Lube Man.
Lube Man.
That's a character from the Watchmen TV show. He just lubes himself up and then slides into a sewer grate and then you never see him again. I think he's on screen for maybe like 30 seconds total.
Dear God. Well, he's doing pretty good and he looks cool, while one of the other, I guess it's the grandmother's grandson. We don't really know too much about him right now, but he's just kind of like protecting her while she's saying a chant, doing a seance.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to swallow this like little pill that has, it looks like skin or some type of human fiber.
Yeah.
And him or the grandmother, I forget who says it, says Toji Zenin. And you're like, what? And you start seeing the face, half of the face come up, and you're like, oh, fuck. And I thought it was just going to be half. No, he fully transforms into Toji Zenin. And this is the point where I'm assuming next episode we'll get an explanation. They use the term reincarnation, I believe. Is he like alive again and taking over this person's body? Or is this person looking like him and getting his powers? I don't really know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to figure out as well. Because if it's him, there must be a time limit on how long he can be resurrected for, because otherwise the grandson would be gone forever. But if it's... I'm leaning more towards the fact that it's not him. Like, it's the grandson still, like, in control of everything, but he just now has the body and power of Toji. But either way, this is a big problem, because he is very strong.
And he fucks up Beanie Boy, which, again, we don't see really what happens to him besides him getting fucked up, but I'm nervous he's gonna die. And again, Nanami's gonna go Super Saiyan, because that's, like, his pupil. But this also sets up Ushiguro is right down on the street. What's gonna happen when Ushiguro sees his dad?
I didn't even think about that. Oh my god, you're right.
It's a big deal. Like, what the fuck? And if it is him, I don't know. It's really interesting twist that I don't want it to be a big thing because I kind of liked how he died and the resolution that we got
Right.
with Gojo.
It was all solid. Don't fuck it up now.
Yeah, but I kind of it's cool to see him back, and the fact that Beanie Boy doesn't know who he is. He's like, what is that supposed to be, like some like legendary sorcerer? And I'm like, oh god.
Buddy, you ain't got no fucking idea.
Yeah, and really, I mean, a lot of stuff happened in this episode for, again, the term I'm going to use is low priority episode, but another good one, very enjoyable. There was actually a point where I think the scene, I forget what happened, but it cut to black, and I could see myself in the reflection of my laptop screen, and my mouth was open again.
Of course it was. That's great. One more thing that I want to discuss, this final battle between Colonel Sanders and our lads. The hand animation, once again. You see Fushiguro do his little thing, and then it's like the rabbit shadow. You're like, oh, number one, looks great. Number two, rabbits? What's happened? Is this a rabbit crossover again? All those little like death rabbits come out, they encircle the guy. It looks stupid good. Like, why does it look so good? I love the fight that ensues. I love, again, every single little shot that comes in because they go so hard in this final fight between those three. It's great. The part when Yuji comes in for the final blow, stops right in front of his face, you get like one impact frame. And that's it. The fist just hits him in the face. He goes flying backwards. Wonderful. And the way the episode ends, this might be one of my favorite endings in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's just Fushiguro says, "You're surprisingly adept." And then Yuji just looks at him and goes, "Really?" And then hard cuts to the ending song. And I'm like, that's fucking stellar.
Good friends, and
They
I like
are.
seeing it. And they're complimenting each other. Even when Yuji is like, "Oh wow, you figured out like his ability. That's really impressive." Like all this stuff, they work as a really good team, and I would love to see Nobara join as well, and like a nice fighting scene of all three of them. Oh, that would make my day because their chemistry is awesome. And for a fight that was, again, not a super high priority villain, this was really fun. You didn't see anybody use any crazy techniques or anything like that, but what you did get to see is some pretty cool teamwork and some good team thinking to solve the issue. Really, really like this episode, and I can't wait to, just each week get back and watch this and kind of have some of those more low priority ones and then have those bigger moments where you're getting the crazy fight scenes in the big lore background.
Yeah, another stellar episode. If you're not watching Jujutsu Kaisen, again, go watch it. It's great. It's peak shonen. I don't think anyone can argue that point. But will Beanie Boy live? Is Toji actually back? Is Yuji actually a dumbass, or is he secretly very smart? Probably the former. But who am I to judge? Anyway, with that being said, everyone, always remember, we'll love you, we'll leave you, and goodbye.